Quail Hollow in North Carolina will host the final men's major of the year next week, the PGA Championship. This may be its first major, but Quail Hollow's a course with pedigree. As longtime home of the Wells Fargo Championship on the PGA Tour, and previously the Kemper Open, which had one of the biggest purses in the game in the 1970s. It's had design input from Tom Fazio and Arnold Palmer over the years, and has been toughened up to host the US PGA, so the pros can expect a different challenge to their regular PGA Tour stop here. Still, one man in particular will be looking forward to teeing off at Quail Hollow. Rory McIlroy won his first PGA Tour title here back in 2010, 4 strokes ahead of Phil Mickelson, and then demolished the field again in 2015, when he finished 7 clear at 21 under par. McIlroy set course and tournament records that week, finishing his 4 rounds 5 shots lower than anyone else has ever managed at Quail Hollow. So if you're looking for a favourite for the US PGA, then the Northern Irishman certainly has previous form on the course. There are plenty of other title contenders, but one player who's not been talked about much in the build-up to the tournament is the defending champion. With just one top 10 finish on the PGA Tour this year, Jimmy Walker has struggled to back up his maiden major, achieved in such style at Baltusrol in Springfield, New Jersey last year. Ahead of his defence of the title, we spoke to him and some seasoned onlookers about his victory.
Jimmy would fall under the heading to a lot of people as a late bloomer. When he broke out on tour, Butch Harmon started working with him, and Butch's first reaction was, why hasn't this guy won?
When you've got the best coach in the world telling you how good you are day in and day out, you kind of start to believe it.
He said, my big job was to get Jimmy to believe that he was as good as I knew he would be.
Jimmy wasn't an instant superstar. This is a guy who really had to work for everything he's attained, and he's moved up in the ranks very quickly.
Just about everybody who saw Jimmy play in 13, 14 said this guy was ready to start winning, and winning a lot. Jimmy said it after winning the PGA Championship, that the Ryder Cup, brought his confidence level to what it needed to be for individual tournaments.
Playing in the Ryder Cup is a huge boost to any player, especially for a guy who had never done it before. Jimmy Walker was able to not just compete under that spotlight, but compete alongside the likes of Phil Mickelson and Ricky Fowler, his partner as he calls him.
I don't take anything for granted. I mean, I try to take everything that I've done and apply it to what's happening now. And I've gotten to experience a lot of things in golf, a lot of crucial shots and key putts, and you remember that and you rely on that, and it can help you move forward.
I think Jimmy was able to come into the PGA Championship without the spotlight directly on him. We talk about the big names in the game, from Jason Day to Jordan Spieth, Rory McIlroy, Dustin Johnson coming off his US Open victory.
The tournament started and I felt very comfortable with Baltusrol. I liked the golf course a lot. It really fit my eye everywhere, and just continued to keep carrying that momentum throughout the week. It is a big deal, I'm not gonna lie. Did the "this is to win the PGA Championship" pop into my head? Yes, it did. But you gotta enjoy that for a second, because you've worked your whole life to get there, and this is actually happening. It wasn't a dream, and it was happening. So embracing that for just a second, and then getting on with it. Don't be afraid of it. I think that's where you can maybe get into trouble a little bit, is when you tell yourself that, you're like, you get scared of it.
He's a guy who's going to be here for a long time. He's not a player who we're going to see fade from the scene in golf. This is a guy who's a top 20 player who showed that he's able to play his best golf in that spotlight, in the pressure. And I don't think we're going to look at Jimmy Walker's career 20 years from now and say he won a PGA and that was it.
Magical week, man, it really was. Look forward to doing it again.
And it would be an even bigger shock if Walker could defend his title here at Quail Hollow in a few days' time.